It's Movie Time. It's produced by John DeSando. Listen to shows and read reviews online at WCBE.org.
I'm John DeSando.
And I'm G Kline.
And this is It's Movie Time. And, well, I needed somebody to help me with Elemental. This is the new Pixar movie. Not because I wouldn't like it, but because I like people who know what they're talking about when somebody says Pixar. And because after this movie, I don't know if there'll be another Pixar.
Oh, there'll be another Pixar, because Pixar is a division of Disney, and Disney has very deep pockets. Now, let's not fault Pixar completely. Pixar had a couple of really good movies that came out during the pandemic. Soul is one of their best films.
Oh, yes.
And Turning Red is another one that was a really good film. Now, both of those, because of the pandemic, they got released straight to streaming. They started back in theaters last year with Lightyear, which I think you and I did. And now this is their second release post-pandemic.
One called Luca, something like that. No, I don't know whether I got that. But, anyway, yes. So, Soul, which would be in some way similar to Elemental, do you think?
Oh, well, no, because Soul was good.
Here we go.
Oh, no.
I was trying to avoid this initially, but that's good. It's Movie Time.
Yeah.
Loves that.
No, this is definitely a big miss for Pixar. Huge disappointment. Even the title Elemental is off base. The characters in this film are divided into four races: earth, air, fire, and water. So if right off the bat, calling them elemental, no, they're not. That's not elements. But what this movie does, Star-Crossed, it's a star-crossed lover story, and star-crossed lover stories are timeless. They go back to the days of Aladdin. They were the basis for the Bronte sisters.
How about Romeo and Juliet?
Romeo and Juliet, and a really good one that calls to mind with this film is West Side Story.
Yes.
Because West Side Story, the conflict was over their racial backgrounds. You know, Tony is the son of Italian immigrants. Maria is the daughter of Puerto Rican immigrants, and there was tension because of their races. But when we examine West Side Story, we find that the two gangs, the personalities within the gangs were very similar. They both had a strong leader. They both had a hothead that just wanted to fight. When you peel back the skin, you find that the people underneath were remarkably alike, and there was really nothing to fight for. But that is not the case with Elemental. Elemental does the unthinkable and the unforgivable. Elemental stereotypes its races by their personality.
Now, give me an example.
Okay, so you have the earth, air, fire, water. Earth is the personality of the earth people are airheads. They step out in front of cars.
Who are not prominent in all.
Who are not, they're the least prominent of the four.
Right.
The earth, which is probably a misnomer because it's probably not set on earth, is a bunch of oversexed homebodies. Fire has a hot temper and quick to anger. And water are a bunch of wishy-washy, artsy types who cry at the drop of a hat.
Now, Ken, I'm trying to understand this. This is art. It's going to be figurative. And you're hammering it for...
I am hammering it because it is unforgivable to stereotype racially by personality. To say everyone of this race has this personality, everyone of this race has that personality. You cannot do that. You can have the star-crossed lovers of different races, but you can't define them by their personality.
Well, I think you're being typically G Kline picky. All right, and I hear you, and boy, I can't deny that what you're saying is true, but you're going way too deep for the people who are going to see Elemental. For them, this is a work of imagination, well known as Pixar's, their calling card is imagination. And because it is open to interpretation in the broadest sense, okay, that's all I'm going to say. Yes, so fire is this, and the people who are fire can usually be this, or all can be this. But boy, don't you think you're being a little tough?
I don't, because Peter Sohn, who's the director, who also wrote this, the idea behind this was a trip he took to Brooklyn to visit his parents. His parents were immigrants from Asia. He's the
Korean.
Yeah, and he's the son of immigrant parents. And he decided, I'm going to make a movie about struggling immigrants that came into the country, were faced with oppression, and then rose up above that, raised me to be who I am, and I want to reward them and thank all the other immigrant parents who brought their kids over here and raised their kids up to become something through sheer hard work and determination. And that's fine, you can do that, and that's been done many, many times before. But what you can't do is you can't start stereotyping these races.
I think one of the byproducts of the imaginative approach here is that kind of stereotyping. In other words, I am not as disconcerted about the stereotyping as you are, because I'm willing to give it wide latitude. First of all, as a side note, let me tell you, this is summer, and you know my critical ability in the summer has decreased considerably. I have a different set of values, so I am much more liberal than you. I am much more forgiving than you, even though what you are saying is from a kind of technical point of view and a very hypercritical point of view. Very well taken.
I love stories of star-crossed lovers. I love Romeo and Juliet. I love Wuthering Heights.
It's unfair, Romeo and Juliet.
I love West Side Story. I really love West Side Story.
Yes.
But I cannot place Elemental among them.
No, and I'll tell you, from my point of view, less picky than you, but kind of agreeing with you in the sense there is nothing, there are no risks taken with this. And I wonder if this doesn't parallel your criticism when you talk about stereotyping. When you stereotype, you don't have to do individuality. You can just paint it with a broad brush and be gone.
These are very generic characters, very cookie cutter. And I think there was a missed opportunity here. I think that Pixar really could have done something remarkable if they had explored and developed these characters quite a bit more. If they had gone in a direction where each character has a very distinctive personality, as opposed to try to fitting their personalities into the box of the race they belong to.
And that's a great point. I do find Dad interesting. You know, because of his motivations with his, I find it's a universal truth.
Dad reminds me of Topol from Fiddler on the Roof.
Oh.
You know, he's this hard-working guy who has ideals, and he's going to do everything for his family.
Yes.
You know, he's the best character easily of them. But I'll tell you, Wade lost me after about the first 5 minutes. He is so wishy-washy. So first you wonder what Ember even sees in this guy, besides the fact that he holds the key to keeping her father's business going. But also, he never evolves, he never develops. He stays this wishy, and then when you meet the parents, they're all just like him. And then when you meet the rest of the water people, they're all just like him.
Wade is funny though, he's so malleable. I mean, what a blob. He just comes in and out by just shifting his very liquid body all over the place. I find Ember intriguing. I find her a character I like, because not only does the steam come off of her head when she gets really hot and passionate.
Which is most of the time.
I find her in that cliched spunky. I like her as a character. And you made a comment about developing characters. She's one that I could have seen develop much further, and to weigh in on Wade. Yes.
I just found that they relied on the temper too much with her. It became a crutch that is the whole basis for her personality. She's just going to react with bad temper anytime any adverse situation comes up. And Wade is the calming, and they just stay like that through the whole film.
And I can see that because she's a cartoon character. This is where I accept.
Oh, but cartoon characters can be so much more dimensional. I mean, for heaven's sakes, look at Elsa in the Frozen series. Elsa's the first Disney princess to have mental health issues, which is what makes her so fascinating.
Ken, I have to stop your train right now. We're looking ahead, and we're hoping that we'll have listeners who will check into the WCBE podcast Back Talk, so that they can listen to further of your blathering about this. What do you advise families?
I advise families to stay home and watch something on streaming, or wait for go see Indiana Jones, or go see Spider-Man. Oh, for heaven's sakes, go see Spider-Man Across the Spider-Verse.
Flash.
Well, I haven't seen Flash, so I'm not going to make that comment. But I can tell you, go see Spider-Man. You will not be disappointed.